Hi, I'm Clark County Poet Laureate Angela Brommel, and today we're talking with local poet Emily Hoover.
Hey everyone, good to be here.
Thank you so much for coming out. And for everyone that's at home, I'm just going to set this up a little and say part of my poetry program has been Poetry for Resilience. And from the very beginning, I said, I was interested in community building, but like interdisciplinary arts experiences outdoors. I am familiar with trauma recovery yoga. I did that little certification at the beginning of the pandemic, and you and I have talked many times, so I know you as a poet. I know of you also as a yogi and a movement practitioner. But all of a sudden, I was incredibly excited when I saw online that in a previous kind of lifetime, you also were a park ranger.
I absolutely was.
I know. And so I felt like all of this was coming together. I thought, Emily and I need to work together.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and just for folks who were wondering, I had, the job I had in the Park Service was a fee collector.
Okay.
So that's probably why I'm not a park ranger today, right?
Okay.
If I had been able to do like the history interpretation, the guided ranger tours, I probably wouldn't be before you today. I would probably
you'd still be
there in the Grand Canyon
yeah,
somewhere.
Because you are always outside whenever I see you online.
Yeah.
And so obviously I've seen that from workshopping with you, how that spills into your work. And your first chapbook just came out.
It did.
Is it November 1st?
November 1st through
Okay.
local press,
Yeah.
Zeitgeist Press.
Yeah, so wonderful. So Emily and I have been talking, and for those of you that are at home and thinking, I don't know if any of this is my kind of thing yet, what we're talking about is a new series called Poetry and Poses, and it will be a once-a-month series starting in January. And it's really geared for everyone. So can you kind of tell us a little bit about that?
Absolutely. So what I like about yoga as a writer, right, is that the ancient yogis of India, right, would practice the physical postures, the asanas, to prepare for meditation. So this idea of quieting the mind. And I really find yoga to be wonderful when I am struggling with writer's block. Right, and I've looked at all the prompts that I have access to, and I just can't get the juices flowing. I find that the breath work that we do, the physical postures that we do, can really take me, transport me somewhere else, and create space for writing that has been difficult, especially if you're writing about difficult subject matter, right, personal subject matter. I think having a movement and breath work practice prior to that can be really helpful. So that's what I hope to accomplish with this series, is very gentle movements that can be done in a chair, movements that can be done on a yoga mat. We'll have some props. I recommend bringing a block just to sit on, pad the knees, those kinds of things. And then I want to create really fun prompts that build from the yoga postures that we practice. So I want to have some themed classes and then invite people to either write on those postures and what comes up for them, right? Or maybe just write on something that's less yogic. So I want to have options for everybody, whether you're a poet, whether you're a fiction writer, whether you're someone who works in creative nonfiction, you are welcome here.
That covers our upcoming classes, but what I really want to hear is something from your book to give people a sense of what's in there, and then could you maybe tell us where they can find it?
Sure, absolutely. So I just want to shout out my yoga practice, right, for helping me get through this book. This book is called My Mother as a Serrano Pepper. It's out with Zeitgeist Press, and it's a very difficult book. It's about my mother. It's about mental illness, and it's about myself. And my yoga practice, I think, has been the only constant in my life, and it's saved my life, right, through these uncomfortable moments, because we face discomfort on the mat, we face discomfort in our lives, right? And it's wonderful to have that practice moving through this work. So I'm going to read the title poem for you all. All right. My Mother as a Serrano Pepper. You tell me that you can show me how to cut a serrano pepper to remove the ribs and seeds with ease. I know this can be done, but I have never attempted it. My mom only cooked frozen vegetables, I say, except for iceberg lettuce or baby carrots wrapped in plastic. Everything I've learned about cooking, I've learned myself. You tell me it's no big deal, we both like spicy food, But I can see you want to share with me this technique. We've only been seeing each other a few months. I watch you cut off the ends of the pepper, slice it in quarters, tear away the ribs, cast aside the seeds. With the pepper's organs separated from the body, I understand the vulnerability it requires. Like you might notice a nuance in a still life painting you've seen a million times when you glance at it from across the room, as opposed to standing right in front of it. What it means to be exposed there in space, placing what's inside on the outside, cutting board, bleeding green. My mother can hear electricity. I tell you this from your couch as I eat stir-fried veggies with oyster sauce or kale hash with tempeh, some dish I was proud of making because of the serrano you had cut up for me. You just asked me to describe my mother's illness, why I would brave the pandemic and fly to Florida. You look up from your plate, reach for my body, and suddenly my rib cage is the vibrating sound hole of a guitar, my throat its neck, my words the sad music made by strings, fingers, and time, instead of a piece of me that should be stripped away from the good parts, discarded as too much, an inconvenience. Vulnerability rests between us, yet you don't play me. After this moment, we talk about schizophrenia, the way gamblers talk about March Madness at the sports book. Months later, my hands on the knife, you ask me to keep the seeds and ribs of the jalapeno intact when I make tacos de nopales. What we don't say until months after this moment, when my mom can no longer speak complete sentences, is that too much for most people isn't too much for you. Flesh, seeds, ribs simmer in hot oil alongside sweating onions. This is how I describe us to my friends.
I love that.
Thank you.
That's so good.
Thank you.
Thank you. To sort of pull it together, I think, sometimes when people talk about resilience, it feels like they're talking about it like, it doesn't touch me. It doesn't touch me. And so when we talk about stories of resilience and people share their stories with us, the resilience happens. It comes with things. It comes with things you carry. And so I'm really excited about the space that you'll be creating for writers and people new to writing, or maybe people who are just looking for that kind of space. Just want to thank you for that. Yeah. I'm incredibly excited.
Me too.
And for people at home, if you want to keep up with this, we will have at the end of this video the link to the Clark County Poet Laureate page that has upcoming flyers. We have a group on Facebook, the Clark County Poet Laureate community. You can look there, you can check my website. But please stay tuned, and thank you for coming today. Thanks for stopping by.
Thanks, everyone.